Okay, welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. And a shot heard round the world. You're a baseball fan. I believe that was the 1960s World Series, but who knows, who cares. This is the shot heard round the world that Twitter is bought out by Elon Musk, someone that has a brain, someone that is a proponent of free speech, buys Twitter. Shot heard around the world? Am I incorrect, Dr. Lopkin?
Oh, it's definitely been heard around the world because not only are both liberals and conservatives talking about this in very different ways, but the EU has already weighed in saying, just remember, you have to follow our rules.
Yes, so isn't it interesting, Dr. Lopkin, that being older than you, I remember, the 70s and let's smoke another joint and blah, blah, blah. And it was the liberals that were like, no, we need free speech. And, you tight-ass conservatives, what are you doing? A little bit of a role reversal. Please help me out.
A lot of a role reversal. In just the past week, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Elizabeth Warren have all stood up for censorship. When did you see any political leaders standing up saying, no, we can't have people talking?
Well, because it's very simple. They know, like a cockroach, when you shine the light on liberal intellectualism or thought process, and they're totally different, trust me, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny. They know it. They're scared shitless. Am I not correct?
They are. And I found it absolutely hysterical. One liberal commentator was talking about the fact he was terrified of what Elon Musk will turn Twitter into, because if Twitter decides that they're going to censor certain political people, it could affect elections. Really?
Like it was Gomer Pyle. Shazam!
Exactly. It's like, have
really
you not been paying attention? This is what Twitter has been doing. That's why Elon Musk bought it, to stop this bull.
Okay, but for our listeners, and it's not searching for accolades, but I think my initial point is correct, that the Democrats and liberals know that if their ideas, their agenda is held up to scrutiny, it fails. That's the big issue. That is it.
Yes, it is. They don't want people discussing their issues. They didn't want people looking into Hunter Biden. They didn't want people looking into the Steele dossier. Why? Because it's all massive fraud. And as long as they could control the narrative and go, oh, no, that's not important. Look over here. Look over here. Twitter was a massive distraction. It kept people from looking at what the Democrats and liberals were actually doing. Well, now they've lost that.
Yes, but again, let me ask you another question, though. The people, the group that really put Biden and the Democrats over the hump is the suburban, so-called educated college. How come they're not, if they're so smart and intelligent, please help me out, Dr. Lott. How come they weren't bright enough? Forget about your political idea. A moron would know, literally a moron. My cats know this, that the whole, Trump is calling Putin, what is this, a bad James Bond movie? Well, I mean, help me out. How do these geniuses fall for this shit?
Here's the thing, that audience you're talking about, they're not on Twitter. They don't really see that. The audience that is primarily on Twitter is actually the media. So the media was taking their leads from Twitter because that's where they were finding the breaking news. When
Especially CNN, yes.
Yes, when Twitter blocked something or kept them from going, mainstream media went, "Oh, well, Twitter has already said that's not a story. We don't have to cover it." So,
Wait a second. Wait. Lopkin, that you need to repeat because that's what's missing from the dialogue. And something that really hit me as soon as you said it. I think people assume that Twitter's in a bubble. No, you're 100%. It's so much bigger than that. If Twitter allowed the Hunter laptop to come into discussion, CNN would have had to pick it up. But it was a easy excuse. It's monumentally huger than just Twitter, isn't it?
it is. Twitter is echoed by the mainstream media. Reporters go there to see what's breaking, and then very often they quote Twitter as their source. We've seen that over and over again. So when Twitter says, "Oh, the Hunter Biden laptop, it's fake news, we're blocking it," mainstream media goes, "Oh, well, they already said it was fake news, we don't have to look into it." Well, as it
It's a wink
turns out,
and a nod.
right, Twitter wasn't actually looking into anything. They were making their decisions based on their politics. And it came out in a recent survey, 99% of Twitter employees donated to the Democratic Party.
Yes.
So of course they were not going to put out anything on Twitter that would be against their interest. But it's the snowball effect. Twitter was the little snowball that rolled down the hill, became huge when it got amplified by the mainstream media. So now mainstream media is actually going to have to do their due diligence and actually do reporting. And I don't know how many of them are out there that know how to do that anymore.
I would seriously question that. But isn't the bigger theme, Dr. Lotkin, woke go broke?
Yep.
It's a fact. I mean, you look at Netflix. I couldn't believe it. I heard this today. I mean, I've heard it before, but then today it was like, that's a meltdown. That's when I was in corporate, that's firing territory.
Yeah, companies that have embraced woke
Disney
are going broke. Netflix put out a whole bunch of woke shows, turned people off. They lost in the last quarter 200,000 subscribers, and they expect to lose millions of subscribers. YouTube had the same thing. They reported their earnings last night as part of Alphabet. They've been, canceling conservatives right and left.
Did they cancel us at one time, I believe?
They pulled one of our episodes down because they claimed we didn't fact check. And the following week, I shoved that down their throats when they realized, oh, we screwed up.
Uh-huh.
But
yeah, absolutely.
So you've got Netflix, Google, Twitter, Disney, all have embraced woke, and people are revolting against them. And in fact, companies are now coming out. The CEO of McDonald's came out criticizing Disney, saying point blank, "You're using the shareholders' money to push your agenda. You've got no right to do that. It's their money."
100% agree. In the real world, which the world we don't live in right now, the Disney board, the Disney top management would be immediately fired because I have to be honest with you. Unfortunately, I'll have to say this. I don't have children, but if I did, back in the 70s, 80s, I remember when I was a kid in the 70s, the Disney movies was like the mule that kicked the field goal. And of course you're going to send your kids. I'm not going to have my kids sent to like an LBGQ, whatever, indoctrination. Are you kidding me?
Well, there have been rumors, and I stress these are just rumors. We have not been able to confirm them. But there is talk within Disney that the CEO is going to be fired. They're talking about bringing back Bob Iger, who previously ran Disney, to try to right the ship. Again, it's just a rumor, but we are going to stay on top of it.
But isn't it about really entitlement? I'm assuming I don't really care. I don't really give a you know what who is at the top helm of Disney. But I'm gonna I'm gonna theorize. Grew up very privileged. Never pretty much worked. At a grocery store, a gas station. Never did shit. Went to some bullshit Ivy League school, and yeah, woke because they never were hurting for a buck. Am I so far off?
No, not at all. You're looking at people who
Are
have
out of
never
touch.
real yeah, I mean, they've never really dealt with the real world.
There you
And
go.
now, especially when you take a look at this, the woke, these are young people who basically went to college, were sheltered by their parents. They were raised, the term that used to be used was helicopter parents because they would hover over them and protect them
Hmm.
from everything. They've never dealt with the real world. When Elon Musk bought Twitter, Twitter employees melted down. The head lawyer who was responsible for pulling the New York Post when they posted about Hunter Biden and who was behind a lot of the censorship broke down and cried on the
Cried.
on the Zoom meeting where all of this was being announced because they've lost their safe space. Well, guess what? The world is not a safe place. If you can't deal with it, that's your problem, not the rest of ours.
But does it really, if you're a adversary of the United States and go back 80 years, landing in Normandy, brass balls, balls I do not have. Hello. Uh, and now, fast forward 80 years later, okay, 1950, you looked at America, you're scared shit. You ain't got to screw with America. I mean, these people they're tough SOBs. If I'm like freaking China, Russia, anyway, Iran, I mean, you couldn't even. I don't know if you could function as a military, especially Biden. His big thing is the military is going to be green in 10 years. Like, okay, uh-huh, mm-hmm, yep, I hear you.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous and it's showing in what's going on around the world. Russia would never have invaded
Never,
Ukraine if they didn't sense that we were weak. China would not be threatening Taiwan
ever,
if
never.
they didn't think we were weak. North Korea wouldn't be experimenting with new missiles if they didn't think we were weak.
They don't think they know. And it's like the wolf that was the head of the wolf pack. And now he is a little older. And guess what? He's challenged. They know you got numbnuts at the helm. You got Camilla, the skipper, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Well,
The
I mean,
thing is,
take
they must be looking and going, I cannot believe, and then wokeism in the military, LBGQ lifeboats, whatever, and they're going, we need to go immediately. Why not seize the opportunity? What are you, crazy?
Well, I mean, you take a look at who's running this stuff. We've got the vice president, the secretary of state, and the president. It's wink and blink and a nod.
No, yeah,
We-
and speaking of
We've got
Blinken, he
no
just came out with a
leadership.
statement. He just came out with a statement that Iran is not years away. Brace yourself, audience. Weeks away from a nuclear capability. And I'm going to have to say I'm a proud Jew and strong supporter of Israel. Hello, you genius Jews out there. Yeah. Okay. How's it going to work for you? Okay. So Trump, he was mean, he was awful, he was this. And guess what? He was Israel's best friend, and now Israel's completely unprotected. And guess what? Who does the Biden administration blame? Trump. How couldn't you? Of course, it's Trump's fault.
Well, here's the thing. When Trump pulled out of the Iran deal, which, by the way, the only reason he was able to pull out of this is because it was never ratified by Congress. So remember, at the time, you had a Republican Congress, then you had a Democratic Congress. Neither one ratified this. So everybody thought this was a bad deal that Obama made.
Hello. Only
when
the genius that signed it or orchestrated it thought it was a good deal. Mr. Climate Change on his private jet. Hello.
When Trump pulled out of this, Iran had no problem with this because they stated then that even under the treaty, they had already been working to enrich nuclear materials. So they admitted they had been ignoring the treaty anyway.
So again, Shazam. Really, like, surprise. Now, politically, what does that happen to? What ramifications does it have for our boy genius when it becomes official that Iran has a nuclear weapon?
Yeah, well, honestly, I don't know if there's going to be any ramifications because his approval rating is already so low.
I think you're incorrect. I think it's
I don't know how much lower he could go. I mean, he's already
I think it
underwater.
Actually will be a 5-point down. I really believe that's the crescendo of incompetency, and I think game over.
It is the crescendo of incompetency. Where I don't think it's going to affect him that much is I think anybody who cares has already said, no, we disapprove of him. The folks that are still clinging to his approval rating, I mean, they've ignored everything else that's going on in the world. I think they're oblivious enough to ignore this as well.
And where's Dick Blumenthal and Chucky Schumer? I mean, wait. Richard Blumenthal, I mean, he's on every photo op I've ever seen. He could go to like a friggin' pothole festival in Middletown, Connecticut, talking about the dangers of potholes. Where's he? No, where's he?
Yeah, he has said nothing, and I'm actually surprised that he has said nothing because in the most recent Connecticut polls, which is where Dick Blumenthal is from, Biden is seen as a drain on the ticket. His approval rating is underwater, even in deep blue Connecticut. And there are so many, both senators and congresspeople, who are backing away from the president. I'm actually surprised Blumenthal hasn't backed away from Biden.
I agree with that.
Simply because
thank you, Dr. Lopkins.
He always does. Yeah, he always does what's politically expedient.
Yeah, he's the ultimate political opportunist, and I agree with it. The only one that doesn't run away is your friend in Middletown, Rosa DeLorean, one of the great mental geniuses and political geniuses of all time, only in your area. Thank you very much. And speaking of that, the great uniter, Mr. Biden and the Democrats, anti-Semitic attacks are off the charts. And again, where's Richard Blumenthal? No, where is he? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
where is
Blumenthal, Schumer, they should be ashamed of themselves.
They're disgusting.
Hate crimes against Jews are on the rise. They already represented the highest number of hate crimes against any group in the country. And yet they're not talking about it. They're it's like, again, it's like, oh, look over here. We don't want you to pay attention here. But I think Sharon Osbourne said it best. She now has a talk show in Britain because she was forced out of her job here in America because she actually defended her friend Piers Morgan for having an opinion. She didn't even
God
say if
forbid.
she agreed. Yeah, she didn't even say if she agreed with his opinion. She just defended his right to have one, and Hollywood banned her. Well, she's got a talk show now in Britain, and she came out swinging, saying, sure, she was forced out for defending her friend, but Whoopi Goldberg makes anti Semitic remarks about the Holocaust. She's allowed to keep her job. Why? Because as far as Hollywood's concerned, Jews don't matter.
Jews do not matter, and get with it, Jews out there, because you were once, now you're the useful idiots. You get money, you give them donations, you might be basically, represented in the media more than, other groups, and you are the useful idiots. You need to wake up and understand that the Democratic Party and liberalism is not your friend, it's the enemy. Am I not correct?
You are correct. They have gone out of their way. Anytime anybody talks about anti Semitism, the Democrats' rallying cry is, well, let's not forget about Islamophobia. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
now let's change this a little bit. This is like saying when somebody says that Black Lives Matter, the response being, well, all lives matter. When you say that, the liberals get nuts. How dare you? You're discriminating against blacks. You're diminishing, their importance. Well, fine, but if you do it with Jews, that's fine. You can diminish them.
And again, on my initial point, when Jews mattered economically and at the ballot box in certain swing states, they were at the top of the heap. Now that they're less than 1% of the population, F off, dude. Thanks very much for your checks over the years, but the door hit you on the ass. So speaking of the door hitting on someone on the ass, Biden, this is unbelievable. 19% of Americans, not Republicans, 19% of Americans, and I think it might actually be Democrats. I might stand corrected. I think it is Democrats want him to run. 19%.
Yeah, that's
Let the door hit you on the ass.
It's a humiliating figure for him. And we've seen Democrats already teeing up to run against him. Most notably, Elizabeth Warren has been chomping at the bit. She's positioning herself. She's actually been very publicly saying that if they don't pass her left wing agenda, then the Democrats are going to get lambasted in the 2022 election. Why is she saying this? Well, she's trying to set herself up to be able to go, see, I told you so.
100%.
If you had listened to me, we wouldn't be in this mess. And she's either setting herself up to be a power broker or she's setting herself up to run for president.
She's running herself up to run for president. She's one of the most disingenuous piece of shit ever. She was a corporate lawyer for the drug industry, and now she's the savior of the lower class. Please.
But what she's really doing, though, is handing the presidency in 2024 over to the Republicans. Because if she does insist on running, only one of two scenarios can happen. One, she primaries Biden, Biden wins, but he's
Look,
so weakened that he loses the general election. We've seen this happen in both parties, both Republican and Democrat. When the incumbent president is primaried, the incumbent loses the
and you know something,
general.
Dr. Lotkin? Excellent point, because it's definitive. It's not just, circumvent. It's real. When Carter was primaried against Kennedy, game over. When Ford was primaried in 76, again, same election, but again, with Reagan, he was weakened. He almost, and if he wasn't primary, he would have won.
Right. So that's scenario one. Scenario two is that she actually manages to win the primary. She can't win a general. She's too far to the left. She is going to lose. Republicans are not going to vote for her. Most independents are not going to vote for her. Many moderate Democrats will not vote for her. This is why Biden got the nomination last time around, because the Democratic Party knows a left wing candidate cannot win in a general election. So either way, the Republicans walk away as the winner in 2024, and you can blame Elizabeth Warren in those situations.
100% agreed, but there's a more, I guess, interesting point, not a more interesting, but just an interesting point to me at least, is how delusional can you be to think you, like Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, you actually think you can win the president? It's like, yeah, I mean, I know I'm not going to be a Major League Baseball player. I mean, come to grips with your life. I mean, she actually thinks that people are going to embrace her? The beer chugging. She never drank a beer in the last 5 years. Let me have a beer, dear. Yeah, okay.
Hillary Clinton lost twice, and she still thinks she's got a chance.
Well, God bless them,
And I mean, yes, we're using Democratic examples on this one, but across the board, no matter what party you are, I think if you're running for president, you've got to have a pretty big ego. So I think that's a big part of it, is their egos are cashing checks their butts can't cash.
100%. But I guess what I would say is, if you got a big ego and you're Elon Musk, I would say, yeah, hello, deserving. Can I hold the door for you? Deservingly so. If you're Elizabeth Warren, there's no quid pro quo. There's no correlation between ego and accomplishments. You're whatever, a racial and demographic and economic carpetbagger. She did her whole thing on the little people while she engrossed herself and ingratiated herself in big pharma, suing people or countersuing people that had claims. Yeah, she's a people of the person.
Mm-hmm. The big difference between Elizabeth Warren and Elon Musk is when Elon Musk decides he wants to have something or make something, he does it. He decided he wanted to be able to pay for things online, so he invented PayPal. He decided he wanted an electric car, so he invented Tesla. He decided he wanted to go to the moon, so he invented SpaceX. People also forget he's got the Boring Company, trying to create a whole new method of mass transportation. He does things. He doesn't.
But
just
I thought that was America.
Them.
No, help me out. I thought that was America. I thought that was Edison. I thought that was Rockefeller. I thought it was the robber barons that actually are discredited now, but helped make America what it is today. Sorry to say. But I thought that was America. Ingenuity. That's what made America. Why is the left so discouraged now? What happened?
It is America. It's always been America. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I recommend going to watch the miniseries, The Men Who Made America, all about these early innovators that literally built America. The left doesn't want to do anything. That's their whole credo. Let's have people being paid just to be around. Universal basic income. Why? Because these people are trying to grab power. And anybody who
Hello
innovates, anybody who actually
is a threat.
accomplishes things is a threat to their power. That's why they're going after Elon Musk now, because he's about to, pull back the curtain, and they're all standing back going, no, no, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Well, I thought he was a great deliverer of green technology. I guess no longer. When you're out of sync intellectually or politically, you're done. Um, Closing on this, 58% is the CDC of Americans now have the antibodies. Was this whole shit we went through a bunch of shit?
All of it was not a piece of shit, but it was sold so badly because everybody was told, well, you have to get the vaccination because that's how we're going to stop the virus. In reality, the vaccine never stopped the virus. What it did was minimize your symptoms. So,
Okay,
yes,
then why
was it a
weren't
good?
they honest? We're saying that it was a symptom minimizer, not a vaccine. We were lied to. When you get
Why
the flu
weren't they
shot,
honest?
you don't get the
They're
flu.
not honest. They're not honest about anything. Why should they be honest about this?
There you go.
They wanted control. And if you believed that this was the way to get it, you got behind it. The fact of the matter is, every other vaccine has been studied for years before it was determined whether or not it stopped the disease that it was meant to stop. COVID was an emergency vaccine. It doesn't have those years of study. It has been found to minimize the symptoms. And
Mm-hmm.
case in point, right now, Kamala Harris has been double vaxxed. She's gotten both vaxxed. She's been boosted twice. And she has reported she has COVID right now. Now, are her symptoms bad? No, because she got the vaccine, but it doesn't stop the virus. And Harris is still contagious, even though she's not having symptoms.
I hope it doesn't affect her intellectual capabilities. There you go.
I
And
I
then
think she
we'll
could be
close on
dead 6 months.
Fauci
I think she
now
could be
said.
dead 6 months and it wouldn't affect her intellect.
I would agree with that. Yes, she could be in a coma, and her speeches would be probably more coherent. And then we have
Probably.
Dr. Fauci, the virus that never goes away. We'll just leave it at that. Now says that we're out of the pandemic, but we still have to be cautious. Your read on that?
Yeah, he has come out and said the pandemic is over and now we're going to have to learn to live with the virus, which more scientific studies and doctors who know so much more than Fauci have been saying for almost a year that we were
At the
going to
beginning,
have
almost.
to yeah, that we were going to have to learn to live with the virus. So,
But that's not politically expedient, is it?
well, it's not
When you
it's
can,
not
when you
politically
can change
expedient,
an
and
election, we can change. When you can take more control of a society, why not?
well, I
Like
think in
Lewinsky
Fauci's
said,
in Fauci's
why
case,
not
I
take
think it was
advantage?
even more basic. If when he's now that he said the pandemic is over, nobody wants to put him on TV. I think he enjoyed the limelight. He wanted that to. If Fauci had had his way, the pandemic would go on forever, so he could keep going on the talk
100%,
shows.
1,000%. That in spite of him, people moved on. They said, "Shit, I mean, I'm not going to live forever. I got to live my friggin' life, and I can't be wearing a mask and living in a friggin' tent, wrapped around with cellophane. I got to live my friggin' life." And people moved on.
Exactly.
Americans are brave by nature. You're not going to be living, yes, of course, in the beginning, we didn't know what it was, but eventually you need to move out to the West. Go West, young man. And same thing happened with the virus. And I 100% agree with you that the train was leaving the station and he needed to claim on. not a young man. This is his moment in the sun. He never thought it would ever happen. He's a bureaucrat by heart. And he said, whoa, now he's got to make the pronouncement like the Pope blessing someone. Now it is over. But not truly over, but kind of over.
Right. And again, it's never going to be truly over because this is a persistent virus. It's always going to be with us. It's just that now that we've got the antibodies and now that we've got new treatments coming out,
it's a new flu.
It's not going to be, what it was at the beginning. It's just going to be, oh, I've got it. I don't feel so well for a couple of days and then back to work.
Dr. Lopkin, back to work we were today. Great show. And things are moving along splendidly, aren't they?
They are. And if you'd like to comment on anything you've heard on this show, you can go to xvadio.com/connect. Let us know what's on your mind. And of course, you can catch this episode and all of our past episodes at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Carnivore Radio website, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts.
Thank you, Dr. Lopkin. Thank our listeners.
We'll see you next time.